Spider-Man.
Right.
I need this to be able to sell because it's a business. Let's be real. Journalism is a business. When you work for any type of company, you're selling whatever your paper, whatever your article is. That is where you make your money. And the better it sounds, the more drama it sounds, the more twists and turns it sounds, the more people are turning in to say, what am I looking for? You know what I'm saying? Am I getting what I'm looking for? If you just talk about giant majors and you have an agenda to push, that's what they're going to push. You know what I'm saying? No matter what side you're on. We see this with politics. We see this with whatever sports teams. No matter what it is, you're selling a product. But they are mad when common folks get on YouTube. We start doing research. We start finding out information. We start putting the 2 and 2 together and be like, this doesn't equal 4. What do you guys, all you guys on the panel, what do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about us doing basically the journalism that the mainstream media is not doing?
Well, it drives me nuts because if people are coming to YouTube to find answers, there's a reason for it, because YouTube usually means, especially high profile in the last year. I mean, you've had dozens of cases that people have watched in full, either through non-commentary streams. It's not always a creator that's commenting over the trial, or a mix, right? Where there's a creator streaming maybe with a panel of guests talking about the trial as it's happening live. And if I'm getting views on a channel that's not branded, to me, that suggests people are coming to YouTube, a video platform, looking for something because they want to trust their own eyes beyond what an article is telling them. And I don't think it's appropriate to go and make a YouTube video asking people to join your membership in the process, to be your first paid member for it.
Right.
And then make comments about YouTubers. Yeah. It just seems hypocritical
so specific that I knew you were talking about me. Like, yeah, both of those tweets you mentioned was me. So what else?
Yeah, and there's a problem with people in the courtroom. There's a problem with people talking about it on YouTube. There's a problem with people talking about what they're hearing from reporters. If it's a problem for me to talk about what I'm seeing someone report, and if you're also bragging that people are messaging you to do coverage on the case because they don't like anyone else's, why are you commenting or making subliminals at people like Danny and anyone, it could be any one of us faces here right now, without commenting on how those 18 aren't doing a good enough job if people have to ask you to come do the coverage of the case?
And that's the thing. I think she's full of it. Nobody's asking her to do anything. Did you see how she's some self-proclaimed, what does it say in her bio everywhere? Like she's some self-proclaimed, like, the best ever. I think she has an inflated sense of self-worth, and that's fine. Everybody should have self-confidence, but I think hers is a little over the top. Why does it take for somebody to DM you for you to do your job? Oh, arguably the most influential legal journalist working today. Okay, well then why don't you go do that and stop worrying about what the rest of us are doing?
I'm not trying to have influence. I'm trying to figure things out for myself.
Exactly.
Learn more, make it make sense. And if I'm doing the research anyway, research takes time. So I figured one day, let me put all the research I'm doing to make it easier for someone else into a video on their own.
Exactly.
I'm not trying to influence anybody.
But it just tells you where we are. And I mentioned this before. I mentioned this in part, and then I kind of elaborated. Where we are as a society, and I think it started with the whole, Trump trying to become president and then eventually becoming president. He coined the phrase fake news.
Fake news.
And that's probably the one thing that I agree with him on. Now, not when it came to stuff that he did, because 90% of what he said was fake news was stuff that came out of his mouth on camera. But it's true. I mean, it is. He coined that phrase, and it is very legitimate. And he would probably know better than anybody, being in the media industry, that a lot of the stuff that they're pushing, and I think they're a big part of the reason why he got elected, and a big part of the reason why a lot of racists got emboldened, and why you have the Satan here in Florida trying to, flip things around. And I'm not going to get political because that's my handle. Politics is my thing too.
Resentment is a powerful force in decision making. If you resent the option over here, you're going to look this way. You're not even going to look this way.
Exactly.
And I think the media was a big part of why the country is in a position that it's in now, and why people don't trust the 18 or whatever she's saying.
Pull up the gray emojis.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you have You
what you
know,
had said, Danny, in the tweet. I'm sorry to cut you off, but you had said about her being an elitist. Journalism journalism used to be a blue collar, blue collar work.
right.
It's no longer
Right.
that. You know what I'm saying? And that's why you're getting once you get to a certain point, you now have to bow to this side, or you have, you know what I'm saying, you have to kowtow to a corporation or whatever agenda that corporation want to push. You now have to do that.
And
Right.
that's the biggest point, because you remember, well, I'll be dating myself to let you all know how old I am. However,
We all
I
old
agree.
around here. I'm 137 years
But
old. You're just so sweet.
you remember journals, newspapers, and news outlets was owned by themselves. They weren't part of corporations.
It was, yeah, exactly.
Because I mentioned to Kat, I said, she was saying, like, Variety and Rolling Stones. I said they are all under the Penske Group.
Yeah.
Penske Group.
Mhm.
So
One
they
corporation.
have that corporation, just like with Fox News and everything. They're under what was
Rupert Murdoch.
Rupert Murdoch and his whole thing. So they're going to have their own spin of everything. But I did want to go back to that elitist thing and being in. You were talking about news people being blue collar and the 18. Clearly, that tells me if you've got 18 people in a courtroom and they're covering a trial, there should be 18 different spins on what's going on with the trial. But when you went to all the publications that they wrote for, it was the very same thing. You didn't see any variety.
They just
and
regurgitated each other.
It's just what I'm saying. It's
And
like
maybe
one person,
add an extra line for razzle dazzle.
it's like one person did the report with the group work, and everybody else just added 3 or 4 lines in.
They just went and re-added in that. Don't forget on Friday, these text messages came out. Like they just went and added that to all the articles all week.
It's like somebody had the template and everybody just copied and did a little thing on the template. But if there's 18 people in there that you mentioned, then I was expecting at least or even for any of the journalists to say, in this view, we could be looking at A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And if you're looking from this lens, we could be looking from this. It wasn't. It was just like whatever was clickbaity to get you there. And then to hear when you see other YouTubers, and particularly those that I'm going to say middle of the way YouTubers, not the 100,000 YouTubers, but the YouTubers that have anywhere from 5,000 to 20,000 views. When you watch their shows, they're giving us the information and they're pulling from their information and they're regurgitating it wrong, because everybody is talking about those text messages as if they were written that evening during this whole situation, and they're not understanding those text messages are over a year ago. And they're like, well, see, because he wrote these text messages here, there's got to be something. I'm like, you're out of context, because those text messages were way over here on the other side. And how do we know that? Because Ms. Danny told us.
Well, exactly.
75% of those articles, 3/4 of them, it was like 1 in every 4 would mention the "it's just fake" line. Yeah. But most of them, the majority of them, were leaving out the "it's just fake" line. Now, if you're already gonna only include 3 of the messages out of the whole thing,
right?
Like they're not talking about the broken necklace mention or anything like that. If you're only gonna include those 3, why cut out the first line of one of them?
Right.
Exactly. I mean, because it's already redacted information that you're getting anyway. So because I know, Danny, you can speak to this. When they were in the courtroom, they showed you the text message while you was in the courtroom. You see the black lines marked out.
Yeah, through her stuff. All of her stuff left.
So we don't actually have a full context of the conversation. We got it literally what the prosecution wanted to show at that point, because they're trying to make a point, right? Now, I had YouTube,
Hail Mary point, a Hail Mary.
A Hail Mary point. And it was really just so the media could jump on something. And I think we just lost Pam, but she'll be back. But it was just to make a point for slander. You know what I'm saying? If he doesn't want to be famous, I make him infamous. The famous line for J. Jonah James, I'm gonna just make him infamous. People won't like him. People think he's a menace. Whatever. Then
it worked exactly opposite, because they didn't anticipate. I don't know if they didn't anticipate. I think they were hoping after the trial all the videos would get released. Exactly. But even if, God forbid, they find him guilty on one of the 4 or 2 of the 4 or whatever, he doesn't need to be guilty on any of them. But if he's guilty on one, he may as well be guilty on all.
Yeah, because they're gonna
Just the
spend
fact
that.
that everyone saw what I saw, what they saw but refused to report about, is going to save him, because
Exactly.
it's just going to prove how unjust the criminal justice system is, because you're going to find this man guilty of any of these charges, but we can clearly see she's the aggressor. She admitted to being the aggressor
From day one.
from the minute one. So regardless, she started it. She got arrested. That was mentioned during closing arguments, but it was objected to and sustained. We
But
all
they got
know
to
she
still
got
hear it.
arrested.
Yeah.
For basically similar charges, like in a similar, category as what he's being trying to be convicted for. But she cooperated with prosecution, and so she's not going to be ever tried on that. But I'm happy that Harvey or whoever was able to get that stuff before the verdict did so, because I think that it will save Jonathan's reputation, even though they tried to embarrass him, because they probably figured, we're not going to win this, so we should at least embarrass him and make him look crazy, so if he does win, nobody, everybody's going to think he's crazy, but that backfired. So,
I think that was their plan from the beginning. I think the whole plan from the beginning, I don't think they knew that they could win this. I think this was, let's make him look bad, because even the way this whole thing before the trial, the way it started was, we're just gonna make him look bad. And me and Dre, we've been covering it since day one, and we always said that this is just a play to make him look bad, because we didn't see no real crucial evidence that made him look like he did anything, right? But everything seems like the PR firm dropped him. He had the Marvel thing going on.
The Variety article.
Remember
Blue, when I said that Variety
article? That to me, that Rolling Stone article was like the bow tie on.
It was, but that
campaign on him. You know what I mean?
Right. That was. I would say that was the shirt. The bow tie that they tried to put on was a Variety article, because I kept saying, if you really read that Variety article, it has nothing to do with Marvel Disney. It's about 15% Marvel Disney. The other is Cheyenne Roundtree trying to throw in, Jonathan Majors is getting arrested. Jonathan Majors is doing this. Jonathan Majors is doing that. It then never mentioned the whole thing that went on with Jeremy Renner, because, again, I was yesterday when I found out about that. They never mentioned, we've had this particular type of incident happen before with Marvel Disney, with Jeremy Renner and the allegations against his wife, and we had this, the same thing with Josh Brolin. No, they focus all that information on Jonathan Majors in that Rolling Stone, in the Variety article. So people remember, every major YouTuber from New Rock Stars to everybody was bringing up that Variety article, but they kept mentioning they need to get rid of Kang. Who's playing Kang? Jonathan Majors. Why we need to get rid of him? Well, he has these allegations of DV. Oh, well, let's talk about that. And you should have snowballed effect. Yeah, he got rid of Thanos. You should have got rid of. You should got rid of Hawkeye. You should got rid of the dad from Miss Marvel, because this allegations is horrible too. You know what I'm saying? The guy Nawarta, however you pronounce his name,
right,
had a situation with the lady in Mexico. You know what I mean? But nobody said, let's get rid of them. Let's recast them. Marvel played core. They already knew, because they already went through the situation. But if you look at what the mainstream media was pushing, and again, I said it from the jump. It's because the man's black. It's because he's a black actor, and he's right. And I want to talk to Kat about this before I get to old Velma here in a minute. But you have this guy, because we lost Chadwick with Boseman, and as far as acting talent, the man is on par with how great Chadwick was as far as an actor, as far as black actor, and getting his name out there and stuff like that, as far as his acting chops. And when we lost Chad, this is the next guy that can step up as far as a lead black actor that's not named Anthony Mackie, who could be able to do things and be that culture. I was had to throw a shot, but had to be that culture, because he was right. How do you go from this man? This is why I said you got to watch the media's tricks. This man says, I'm a great man, I'm doing this for my culture or whatever, and then y'all post the tweets, the text messages out of context where he's talking about he's a monster and this and the other. Did anybody say, you know what, maybe this dude was saying this in tongue-in-cheek, because maybe she was saying this, you're horrible, you're a monster. He was like, oh, but I'm just, you just think I'm horrible, I'm a monster. You're on mute, Blue. But I'm horrible, I'm a monster. Saying that as being redirecting that to her. This is what you said to me. So maybe I'm that.
We all do that when we're trying to be funny. Oh yeah, I'm the monster, right? I'm the bitch. I'm the this. I'm the that. You know what I mean? You might refer to yourself in a derogatory way just to kind of make a point of whatever argument you're having.
Absolutely.
We do not truly know. And I mean, we could be reaching, but we're just trying to offer alternative options for what that one little blurb of only God knows how many text messages could possibly mean. And based on real life, again, this situation is not unique. This type of relationship is not unique. We have all. Now, honestly, I can say I've never had a toxic relationship to this extent.
Right.
Because I just could never let it get that far gone. And like I said before, thank God. I'm just not.
People need to learn to get to that point. People need to learn. People need to learn to be a little bit more like you in that regard, because people think breaking up is the worst thing in the world, but this has been like a 9-month extended breakup for Jonathan Majors because he couldn't cut it off back in September or even sooner than that. So
and he tried. But I genuinely think, and you can tell by the 911 call, I think he's just so torn between being this really good person.
Exactly.
And then, I mean, I believe in zodiacs and personality types. And just by virtue of the fact that he's a Virgo, they're typically just not confrontational. And I feel like I tell you to leave, that should be enough.
Right.
But then I'm telling you to leave and I'm pulling out your chair. I'm pushing you back in the car, but then I'm helping you out. You know what I mean?
Right.
I broke up with you, but then I'm crying on the 911 call and asking what I can do to help you.
On the sidewalk, he had them tears.
Right. He just can't be a
blanket over her.
Jerk. It's like he
naked from the bottom down.
Exactly.
Right. Naked, because like I said, I think she was planning on something else and he called the cops. We ain't dropping a D today.
Right. He said he was like, this ain't the welcome me party I was looking for. Wait a minute. Jonathan's coming.
We ain't delivering no D today. 911. Could y'all come get her, please?
Look,
I just think he's torn, and that speaks highly to how his mom raised him, because he just cannot just be bad. Like, can you just be a jerk? Just go hard on being a jerk, and you probably could have got rid of her back in September of 2022. But you just keep, okay, well, it's not that bad. Let me, and then the wires get crossed, and some people you cannot give mixed messages to. Exactly. And that probably was his biggest mistake, second only to picking her.
True.
Exactly.
Mixed messages.
I wish somebody would have asked why she was recording that conversation.
Right. And nobody asked. They only asked if he knew she recorded it.
Right.
Exactly. Shout out to Robbie D for the $5 super chat. It says it's a damn shame she won't be prosecuted. So let me go ahead and get something for you.
I done came up, got my name up. So when they speak of who blinged up, I'm who they bring up.
And they're not going to prosecute her. I mean, that thing is done. Once they dropped out, once they knew that she got arrested, they already told you we're not going to do it anyway. So that was over. You know what I'm saying, from the jump when it came. Encore, thank you so very much for the $4.99 super chat. I hope he will sue after he's vindicated. He should have been okay with the MCU, considering Jay Brolin and Jay Renner's history of violence. And I got something for you also.
Now you're looking at the world's richest man, and I'm black.
So, and you know what? I'm gonna find something to put. I'm a great man. I'm a great man. That's gonna be my. That's gonna be my.
And he is a great man.
Because he is.
I mean, we've all said stuff like that about ourselves. Oh, I'm pretty. I'm a bad bitch. Whatever.
Yourself. Of course.
We've all said things like that about ourselves.
How they tried to spin that? Like, who wouldn't talk? And I don't know his background as far. I know he went to Yale, but like where he came from, his humble beginnings or whatever. But
he's from Texas.
Mm-hmm.
He's from. I think he's from Dallas or outside of Dallas, Texas.
Yeah. He kind of do got a little. He sounded like he got that. But to get to the stature to where he's at right now, yeah, I'm, you know what I'm saying? I'm great. I'm trying to do great things. I'm a great man. I need you to be on my side so we could be great together. We supposed to be a team. You out here fucking it up. Like,
right.
Right.
That's literally what he said. And he started, the recording started with him mentioning her getting drunk and drinking.
Right. Exactly.
So that was the context.
They missed all of that. All that didn't matter.
But because it has to be,
Not
we
only
have to pay
drunk, but she brought some other drunk person
Up into the
Right.
house while he was
exactly.
working.
They had to paint him as the worst human being possible, even though he's calling her baby. He's saying this is the plan. Cheyenne Roundtree said, well, he's being demeaning. How? When you're looking out for someone. You know what I mean? And when of course, like all of us, when we first heard that recording, we all laughed. We like, I know good well he didn't say it like that. You can't. I don't think a guy who graduated from Yale with his master's is going to say it like the way that they're spinning it.
If it was bad, like they said, they would have leaked it before they leaked it.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
definitely.
It would have been
Did
out.
I not say it wasn't that bad?
And again, all the YouTubers who were saying Danny is biased and all of that.
Can't trust
yeah, with Danny was biased and you can't trust her. She literally came out and said this, and this. It's not as bad as it's not in context. They're throwing it out of context. You know what I'm saying? So on and so forth. And people was ignoring it because people got their own. They're trying to cover their brands or whatever, and they try to cover their butt. But Danny said it. Danny said it. And shout out to Ernest Claiborne for the $5 chat. Shout out to Melissa Ford. She didn't fall for the okie doke from the start. And I even got hit up.
Going hard for him. And those other two.
I got
high yellow haters because something about them light skinned Negroes. They don't like no black men. Like they would just.
I'm kind of in the middle. I'm kind of getting there.
Joe Button is a real hater. I'm like, really?
That's my man.
Yeah, listen.
Look, I even did a reaction video to that. You know what I'm saying? And then Joe Button's podcast came at me and tried to shut my whole video down. Okay. That I had to fight it.
Yeah, he said he do not play about his stuff though.
Yeah, well let me give Ernest this one.
I done came up, got my name up. So when they speaking who blinged up, I'm who they bring up.
Thank you so much for you guys for the super chat. I got another super chat for Marty Marr. What did it say? 999 super chat. Thank you so very much. Praying to the answers. There is somebody like me on the jury refusing to convict, and we get a mistrial. If not innocent at all, charges on Monday. And I believe you tweeted that, Danny, that you know if it's even if it's his sister, to be like, I don't know about this with somebody, because I mean, let's think about it.
I think she, even though I said from the beginning she was worrying me, and the day of closing arguments, two of them were late. I guess they were the train system, subway.
It's New York.
Two of them were late together, and during the time when they were waiting for them to arrive, there was concern. That was the word about juror number 2, and that's her. And I think that they didn't say what the concerns were, but I think that they were just trying to put it out there because they probably have a feeling she's going to be the one to hold them up. And to their defense,
the prosecution or the defense had concerns.
I wasn't in the room. I got it secondhand information, but I'm feeling like it was the prosecution because she was all ears for the defense.
Even like how they wanted to, that same DA's office wanted to strike the graduate with his master's from NYU because they didn't think he would understand jury instructions. They were worried about him.
Right. No, he was too smart. That's what it was. This lady, like I said, she's not polished and poised. Not at all. And that's not the issue because, again, these are people from Manhattan, New York County. So more than likely they're coming from Harlem, Washington Heights, the hood, in other words. So, they're not going to be polished and poised. But my issue was every day after lunch, it just looked like she was asleep. So that's what was worrying me because I'm like, dude, you got to wake up. You got to pay attention to this. And I just thought that maybe she would just drop the ball just because she wasn't paying attention. But then I noticed during closing summations, she was after that concern thing was brought up, I feel like they said something to her because that day she was up the whole day. Next day, up, alert, paying attention.
Her mind was made up already. That's why she was sleeping.
Did you think that could have been the 4 days of, Stephanie from Toy Stories, when she was, her testimony? Do you think that's the reason why she kind of checked out?
No, she started checking out. Everybody paid attention to her because all the crying and the theatrics and from what Jimmy told me, he said I don't know if he said he forgot to tell you, Kat, or
there's more. Let me know.
He said that she had demonstrated how she got her shoe on with her broken finger, and she threw her leg all the way up
on the stand.
Are you serious? What?
Yeah.
What did the simp do? I wish he paid attention to what the simp was doing at this moment in time.
He was probably like, lost it.
That's what you were talking about. That's what you were talking about. One of the jurors liked her.
Yeah, that one right in the front. He's probably in his late 20s, but he has a comb over and acne. I don't know what's going on with him, but yeah, he definitely
they picked him for that reason.
He got a lot going on. But
he's sitting that leg throwback was like,
he probably lost it. He probably went in the trash when he got home. But that was my concern. So I'm feeling like I'm sure they saw the same thing I was seeing. They were standing right in front of her.
How does she remember what she did with her shoe when she can't remember how far she doesn't remember anything from that night.
Right.
She doesn't remember the drink. She doesn't remember the drink she snuck.
And kept telling the police she did not remember how she got hurt. Why am I in the closet?
Her memory messed up since the 24th, not even into the 25th.
Yeah,
right.
Selectively or because of intoxication.
When we clearly saw her running, she said that she was walking, and we
clearly saw her following him. She would not say running.
Well, the prosecution prepped her on that language.
Exactly.
Somebody said like Myron from the Players Club. Exactly.
Right.
Probably go follow her in the parking lot after court. Saying you said you loved me. I win.
Well, exactly.
That's crazy. They'll make her demonstrate how she put her shoe on, but they won't play the audio from the body cam footage. I had never heard of that before. I've watched a lot of trials where, murder trials, the body cam, they show how they first come up on the person. They show deposition video. They don't mute the audio in it. If anything, they might get rid of the closed captions. That way there's if one of the words is wrong, there's no influence with that. But how do we not hear audio from any of the,
because they were saying things. Remember, they said
because she admits on the audio that she started the fight.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one for me.
They asked her if he was the one that hurt her, and she said, "I guess so." It was a lot of incriminating stuff.
I know how I put my shoe on, but I guess he hurt me. I'm not sure.
But what we forget is there's a lot of incriminating audio from the police. Because if you remember what they said that the police was talking about is that if I hit you, talking to Jonathan Majors, I'm not going to break my finger. That's incriminating for them. So they weren't going to show they weren't going to play the audio. Not for those other reasons, but for those particular reasons, because the cops were saying things that were inappropriately and could be.
But how is that even constitutional? So that's why I'm like, they have a lot of appellate. They have a lot of appellate evidence if they do have to appeal. Because,
and it's a misdemeanor, but go for it. If it needs to be, I'm watching every minute of that because it's.
I wonder if that was their happy medium. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they were trying not to even have the body cam footage be presented, Priya probably fought to have it presented, and to get it in, she had to say, "Okay, no audio" or something like that. I don't know.
Right.
Well,
right.
I mean, the LAPD, them too. But NYPD, they already have, they were already under fire because of the young man who was choked on the subway. Mm-hmm. They had big protests about that. And for media purposes, so that they don't get the worst of the backlash. Probably the reason why they muted that audio, because if Harvey drops that audio from the body cam, oh my God, it's on after that.
See, that to me, that needs to happen though, Dre. The reason being is these are supposed to be the people who are protecting and serving. You know what I'm saying? I need to know what their thought process is. You know what I'm saying?
And I think that's where the civil lawsuit is going to come in after this is all over. I believe Jonathan Major's team is going to go after the DA Alvin Bragg's team and the New York Police Department. for false arrest. You know what I'm saying? For false arrest, for all this stuff. I mean, there's so much you can pick one.
That's the big one.
False police report, right?
They want to have. They cannot. He cannot get it. Like I said it before. He cannot get acquitted and just skip off into the sunset. This is going to be a long. Not necessarily that he needs to be back in the courtroom like this, but he has to get his lawyers to go hard after anybody that tried to run him under the bus. And
there's the stuff is on record. I mean, obviously, if there's audio that wasn't let in, that's not an issue of the jury interpreting something the wrong way, right? The jury interpreting something one way is not an appellate issue, as long as it's somewhat reasonable. So,
right. But you completely changing the context
the judge's discretion, though, the judge's discretion on not letting probative evidence in,
right? But the thing,
for whatever reason, that's an appellate issue.
Right. And judges are not infallible. A judge is literally like a parent that's not necessarily fair all the time. They can say, because I said so, and move on. And that's literally what this judge does when it's stuff that I'm sitting there like, what? It's literally because I said so. It has no basis in law. It has no basis in, preserving the integrity of the court. It's literally because I said so. I don't feel like hearing or dealing with this right now. Move on to the next question.
So they didn't do a lot of sidebars and
they did a lot with a couple of witnesses. That's what kind of slowed down them being able to go into deliberations earlier, because they really should have been able to do closing summations, or at least part of it, the day that the defense witness for the doctor for the defense came on.
What was that, Thursday?
They honestly really did not need Officer Mejia, because he really didn't say anything that was of any consequence. But their doctor, they probably could have ended it there, but it took forever to get through her, because she was clearly getting annoyed because she was ready to answer. And every other question was objection, sustained. He would call them to sidebar. They would request sidebar. It was just constant objections, because it wasn't fitting their narrative.
Absolutely. Let's switch gears for a little bit. Let's go to this Megan Cuniff video. I personally have not seen this. I
didn't either. I just fast forwarded through the part.
I don't even like her face, so I didn't watch it.
My grandma said, "Don't look at cross-eyed people; it's bad luck."
Mess you up. You get messed up looking at them. Yeah.
She did.
I'm not gonna lie, because I do that as a joke.
Did your grandma say that? I'm telling you, she said that.
I be playing like that, and I don't want to play like that, because my grandma used to tell me, your eyes get stuck like that, you play like that.
Yeah. They all said that same thing. Your eyes get stuck like that, your face gets stuck like that, it's bad luck.
I was scared to step on sidewalk cracks, because
break your mama
back.
All that.
All right, so for those that's in the chat, and remember, guys, make sure that you giving this video a like if you like what we're talking about in here. Cornelius, we're trying to be nice. I'm serious. I'm
not
really.
Nice.
I'm trying.
This is like.
but if you guys like this conversation, we got 251 people in the chat. Please just give this video a like. You know what I'm saying? A thumbs up. If you see the people that's in here on here and they have YouTube channels, just go ahead and like and subscribe to their channels also. So let's go to this video. I haven't seen it. I want to know what it says, because I haven't seen it. I got it shared. Shout out to She Dressed Me, because she sent it to me and said, go to this particular point. So I'm at this point. So let's see what Velma is talking about.
Jinkies.
Possible to find this video without the big TMZ thing in the middle of it. It's like, why do people do that? Especially
you didn't look very hard then.
It is just it's just public record evidence that was released by the court. It's just being in California and not being familiar with the Manhattan court system.
About to get hit.
I can't just immediately get this myself. I need to contact the court and see. There must be a way for them to send this stuff digitally, but this is kind of the big thing. But the one thing that just amazes me and makes me want to back away from this case is how toxic everything is online, and all the people who.
Okay, I'm gonna just stop it real quick. this is what the talking point. This is why you have to be careful of people when they're talking about biasness, when they use words like tiger trigger, always a trigger word. There's always some type, this is toxic online, and this
and
is,
then she goes the misogyny thing. Okay, before you start again, I'm a little confused. If she's this big deal legal reporter, why does she not know how to get access to these videos?
Because she don't care.
And she took a dig at people like me for reporting on what's reported elsewhere. So, but what is she doing here?
But that's
she's
what
doing with a watermark on it.
She admitted New York Post. No TMZ watermark. It's in the New York Post. It's on the Daily Mail. It's on different things. They're on different publications.
I mean, she just could have literally went to our stuff, the other YouTubers, and we played it.
I put the links. I put the links to the stuff too to make it easy for the next person to go and talk about. Sometimes it gets sloppy. Don't get me wrong.
She could have got it from all the people that she was taking digs at. She could have got the video from.
Exactly.
But she can't do that because she also says within seconds of this, in this same section of the video, that we aren't getting much traction. So far be it from her to give us more traction.
Right.
Exactly.
I made it a point to comment in her little comment section.
Can I read your comment? Can I read your comment? Can I please read your comment? Because I'm sitting there like, damn. Oh, and shout out to Babbitt too. Shout out to Babbitt because I just
Babbitt, she was going in too. We would tag team you, Alma.
Shout out to Babbitt. I meant to do that earlier, but shout out to her because. Oh my God. But yeah, let's get back to what she's saying, because this is something that I the reason why I'm saying watch out for the trigger words, because just like how they use the word thug when they're, you know what I'm saying, they talk about, a young man that's black, they will say, well, this thug, they just
mean truly humble under God.
Yeah, exactly. According to Young Thug, and
Truly
she's covering Young Thug too. You know what I'm saying? Which is so funny, but she can't get access to other information. Anyway, let's keep going what she's talking about.
We're saying, oh, I'm the best source for non-biased news, and then you go to their page and they're calling the alleged victim in this a hyena, and like putting gifs on of like a frog running to like make fun of her. It's like, no.
Who's that?
Me. You commented on it, Dre.
Yeah, I know. Because it was hilarious to me. That was hilarious. It's the what is that thing? It's like the lizard. Yeah, but it's the lizard that runs across the water or whatever. That is
Jesus
hilarious.
Lizard.
Yeah, the Jesus lizard. That's hilarious. But let's listen to what she said. Let's finish what she's saying.
No. This would get you fired from any news organization. Like,
don't work for them.
Including like, you can have an opinion about things. Like opinion columnists have a tradition of course, you could go to a courtroom and like write your opinion about the evidence and how you think it's coming in. But this kind of derogatory comment and stuff, it's like, what the hell? Like, and it turned. And one nice thing that I've seen is they're really not getting huge traction. I mean, they're getting some interaction, but it's very insular. It's like all these people just with themselves. Like
none of you in the chat exist, according to her.
Obsession vibe to the way people are just so obsessed with it, and come read our non-biased coverage of his false accuser. It's like, okay, that right there. Do you understand? It's like, what are there alternative facts? Like there's a way to be alternatively non-biased, And I don't know. It's really gross, and also how obsessed with it some people are. Like just I mean, part of it. I do think a lot of it is just genuine, but when you have an actor like that, a major Hollywood actor, he's got a lot to lose, just like reputationally. He's
very positive.
I was about
Marvel
to pause.
was planning
for a second. Because number one, what she's not gonna do is call people gross. You're not gonna call people gross. Because that means you're being offensive, because and they're about insular and they're obsessive about it. What they're obsessive about is the information, but that's not what you're gonna do. You're not gonna call anybody gross and obsessive because they're asking for the 18 people in that courtroom that was supposed to be journalists, and that they would get fired if they put anything like that. Then I guess Victoria is about to lose her job because she's very snarky in her tweets.
Exactly.
She's very. I'm surprised she even has a job. I told Dre that before we came live. she's out of control. And
didn't someone point out she had to pull Vulture, like she shifted her bio, her Twitter bio a little bit. It's speculated that it used to have Vulture in it and now Vulture's removed and it's just her management company tagged. Victoria. Which is fine. That's cool, whatever.
Yeah.
Victoria?
Yeah, someone pointed that she had to change something in her bio. But I mean, she's giving rapid fire updates and I can filter when I read something. I can like filter that narrative out.
Right.
You know, my choice, my discretion, and you know,
and she started out okay. She started out okay, and then she just started shifting.
It was literally because I started. She's on my subscribe, like you and a couple other the media personalities that Flavio gave us. I start following and put my subs on, right? So when I wake up, I could just go to, you know, when the last thing they tweeted or whatever and see what they're talking about. It was after Stephanie, I'm not calling her that. After Stephanie got off the stand.
Got off the stand, that was it.
Once she got it, everybody. What was it was another guy that was there, had a bunch of tweets, and then turned around and deleted it.
Ben, oh no, that was J. Ross. Or no, that was
J. Ross. Ben. That was Ben.
Yeah, Ben would know, yeah.
Ben deleted all of his. This is what I'm talking about. She's going hard at us, calling us obsessive and it's gross and whatever. And nobody said, hey, just come to here because you're going to get all the tea. It was like, here's the information. If you want to know what the information is, this is the information. Yes, I'm going to have my opinion. Yes, I'm going to have my commentary because I'm a human being. If I get information, I'm going to say, well, this is how I feel about it. Here's the information, but here's my little portion. You can knock that out. But it's funny that, again, other YouTubers will say, no, you know, Danny's a bias. I'm not going to do this. But then let me go to the lady who's from the Vulture. Let me go read her stuff because that's not biased. But you see her snarky comments, but that's okay. You know what I'm saying? That's okay to move by that.
Did y'all see? I had mentioned in one of the tweets the lady named Pilar. She tweeted and deleted something about Johnny Depp's fans are supposed to be there, and I was like, did they?
Yeah, there was nobody.
Okay, so you know, then why are you not calling them out for being gross?
Exactly. Marty Mark said she's mad she can't view her Zionist propaganda a challenge. Wow.
And you know she contributes to Fox, so I'm like that right there, writing you off because we already know what this is about.
And I did see I went to her thing and she was commentating for Fox, I believe, or something like that, you know, giving her insight. And again, the reason why anybody knows of her is because of the Megan Thee Stallion Tory Lanez case. That's why but a good friend of mine
that was sympathetic towards a black woman, not a black man. So that seems, is it just a Fox syndicate or is it like Fox? Like a local news syndicate?
I think right there, that interview right there, I think is local.
Okay, Fox is Fox to me though. So
she's defending a woman, but not a black man. There's a difference there, and some types of outlets might want to look like they have some type of acknowledgement of diversity, supporting something other than a white demographic. And the safe way to do that is to only support one gender in that.
That's exactly why I call it toxic feminism, because black women
there you go.
You know, historically, feminism was not designed for black women. It
never
was. But if there's an agenda, then we matter. You know, if there's an agenda,
that's her role. I think that's her role. I think that's her pathway.
They can check two
boxes. She can leave us because the minute I started commenting, you know, I'm being mean, I'm angry, you know, so now we're back to the angry black.
The tone, the word was tone. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, we always have a rough tone. You know, we're scary, but you know, if I'd have got shot in the foot, then she'd be on my side.
But you don't call anybody gross.
I don't know why she was mad at the lizard running. I mean, she was running.
And that's how she looks. Crazy.
Not running.
I think she was running like Woody though, from when they were chasing that moving van, and he was trying to save Buzz, and his arms was kind of flat because that gallop at the end, I was like, oh my god, that gallop is crazy. But see, this is the thing, like you was talking about. Toxic feminism does do that. Sojourner Truth, when she was talking about a woman, because the feminist movement came in of the time during after the the freeing of slaves, Reconstruction.
Right.
So
right
after the Emancipation Proclamation, and then you have all these women standing up for the rights, but you have all these women that's coming out of slavery that you're like, well, we're gonna forget about them unless we need them, unless we could be able to sell something. At the end of the day, where am I at? Where's my protection? You know what I mean? You're gonna use me to be able to push your agenda, but you're not gonna protect me in certain realms. And nobody understands that. So that's why I don't listen to this mess. When somebody, I take her off my screen. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not going to listen to this mess for someone who's clearly seeing the evidence of this man being chased by the, again, she never asked her audience. I don't know, but I guarantee she never asked her audience, why is she chasing him? Why is she so afraid? Like, challenge your audience.
She adopted the shoving language. She did another interview with Fox that she posted this morning. And in it, there's a blurb where she says, she's like, well, the defense does characterize it as he's just picking her up. But as the prosecution characterizes it and adopts the shoving repeatedly language.
That's crazy.
But I like how, I don't know. I didn't post this, and I'm forgive me, because there's a lot of stuff that I actually need to go back and try to reevaluate and post in more context, because now it happened already. But during closing summations, the prosecution was trying to emphasize how much effort it took for him to push her back in the car. So they said, you see, he's standing on his tiptoes. That's how much force he's using. I'm paraphrasing. That's how much force he's using to try to get her back in the car. But see, they're using that because they know the average New Yorker does not have a Cadillac Escalade.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I do. And I will tell you, it's high. It sits up very high. There's actually a retractable step that comes out so that you can get in the car. It's a little lower than a F-150. They sit up really high. Yeah. So even if you're over 6 feet tall, you have to step on that retractable step to get in the car to get out. I sometimes slide out of the car because I don't feel like getting on the step.
Don't miss that step neither.
Out of the car. And I'm 5'8", 5'11" with my shoes on.
And if you put it in some context too, please remember, she was pushing him and pulling out on his side of the car. He had to pick her up and put her in so he could push her over to her side of the car. Because I'm willing to bet you, had she calmed her tail down, he'd have got back in the car and gone home.
They would have gone off. But and then you see when he helps her out, because like I said, he can't be a total jerk. He can't let her fall out. You know what I mean? Like an average person would have, because you can fall out. He helps her out, gets her on the ground. She's grabbing his jacket. He's yanking away, and then he runs. What part of that is not a problem?
Exactly.
Like, at what point
did you hear the narrative? Did you hear the narrative that she was chasing him because he had her phone?
I saw that.
Right.
He had his phone, and she wanted to know what was on it.
But they switched the narrative. They switched it.
Yeah. But she testified. They asked her, why did you chase him? She said, because I wanted to know.
These people have no awareness of her testimony. They just know she cried on the stand and was forced to be reliving a traumatic event for 4 days. That's all they heard about her testimony.
Exactly. It did. Let me just do this because it didn't pop up here, but it's popped up on another source. Sean Adams with a $9.99 super chat. Thank you. Sean Kelly didn't know where there was a gun involved. He specifically said that he never saw a gun. He thought it was fireworks or a flash when he called 911 because of them fighting. Who told him it was a gun? And I think they're referring to the Tory Megan case. So thank you for that super chat, even though it didn't pop up here on my other side, but I appreciate that.
Somebody asked too if it was possible that she could get charged in California. That was a good question. That was way earlier, but I just wanted to throw that out there because that is a good question, because there may have been some stuff that happened out there, because it went from London to California to New York. It was just constant over that 6-month period.
Exactly. And then, Kat, you brought up the fact from the Business Insider in that June article when he wrote his
domestic incident report.
Domestic incident report. He said he feared for his life. It is in there. he feared for his life.
I've got it.
And
He
you
said
got
yes
it.
to is suspect
for his
capable of killing
child's
his
life.
children.
Yeah.
Fear for his child's life. Yeah.
Suspect of capable of killing you or your children. So that was one question. So it doesn't necessarily mean, because someone tried to argue that it was ridiculous and that this must just be Darvo, because there's no way he was afraid of her killing his child, because the child probably wasn't around that much around them. I don't know their personal life. But I don't know. Do you guys know if he brought his daughter around Jabari? Is there like any evidence of that?
Don't know. It's a very good question.
But the question is killing you or your children, and people latched onto that children part and said that no, this is just an example of Jonathan Majors trying to Darvo.
No, that is because that form that he filled out or the information that he filled out, it's a checkbox thing.
Yeah.
That's, when you're reading that, or do you feel like he said it's a box that he checked? It's boxes that he checked. He didn't say, I feel like she's gonna hurt. It's a box that he checked.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the question includes you or your children. Then is suspect violently and constantly jealous of you? Yes. And has the physical violence increase in frequency or severity over the past 6 months? Yes. So
yes.
Right. So we got a battered man here for 500, Alex.
Exactly. So let me just read what Danny, because it's on my phone. I just want to read this because I'm not gonna lie. This is when you get cussed out without having to cuss. I gotta learn how to do this. But
I've learned. I spent way too many cents in Facebook Federal, so I said, you know what? Let me use my master's degree and my
use your words.
Skills. Yeah, my words.
He emptied the clip.
Right, because somebody said that it was like, Drake going hood. I'm like, I'm not trying to. I apologize. I'm sorry, because I was getting ready to go. Oh God, I was getting ready to go there yesterday. She said, have you spent 1 minute in the courtroom? I spent well over 400. I know it's hard for you to accept that, unlike you, we're not consumed by the elitist delusion that because we went to journalism school, we're somehow better than or more trustworthy. We also don't have any professional obligations to be unbiased. We are allowed to express how we actually feel, unlike you. The irony is you're super biased and bitter. You can't publish it because it's your J-O-B. We have freedom. I'm not a journalist, nor do I want to be. And you're the poster child as to why ignorant, elitist, and dishonest. This brand of selective journalism is going away, and y'all can't stand that lay people, excuse me, are onto and changing the game. We get the traction we want and need. Worry about your own. You're like the overachieving hater kid that's measuring your worth to how much better you think you can do things. And when others outdo you, you get upset and make basic claims on how they may have done it. Newsflash, you're not the smartest person in the room. And yeah, that was me with the frog gift. And so that was Danny laying it thick on the Belma, you know what I'm saying, on Twitter.
You needed the ether beat behind you.
I mean, seriously. I'm sitting there like, damn. Oh my God. I can't exactly. Damn. That's why I did that on Twitter.
And then I was, all kinds of mean and, I'm like, girl, bye. Don't play.
After all she said, and then her whole thing was like, you guys are mean, happy holidays.
Is the kind of meanness that turns people off. Well, it's not turning anybody that's supporting us off.
Throwing rocks and hiding your hand. That's
I haven't seen nobody be mean though. I haven't seen, you know what I'm saying?
We're not being mean.
Reporting it straight up and down.
Toxic feminist. Yeah, this is what they do. When you challenge them, you're abusive. You're mean. You're angry. This is the whole mind fuck that they do. Excuse my French.
Nope. Say it. We're over an hour in. You can say whatever you want to.
I try not to curse, but that's the only way to say it for it to be effective. This is what they do. Whenever you challenge them and you challenge the nonsense that they're trying to get you to buy, then they try to flip it on you and make it seem like it's like Darvo for toxic feminism. Like they try to flip it and make you the person that started it.
Or make you question, well, if
that's
you're not loyal.
Well, am I wrong?
But sweetie, that don't make no sense. That don't make no sense for my life. Because if you are a quote unquote feminist, you fight for women in all levels that they're in.
Right.
Exactly.
You want women to think this one way, and that's the only way that you want to think, regardless of each woman's upbringing and what they have and what they haven't brought to a table.
Right. Exactly. They hate that. Absolutely.
That's crazy. Because I was like, you report it straight up and down. You have your opinion on certain things, but you don't leave out the stuff that could go against or that could sound bad for Jonathan. You've never done that.
Right.
And that's, and that's what's crazy about, like I said, the YouTubers, that's out here just saying you're biased. I'm like, did you actually go on her Facebook or just go through the Twitter feed and actually just read it? Because, I don't eat catfish anymore, but, chew the meat, spit the bones. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You can go through somebody's stuff and be like, you know what?
Right.
I could see that she's, even when they said anything about bad, like the text messages, we talked about the text messages. We're like, well, that does look bad. But then you said it's out of context. So you have to be very careful. If I'm thinking you're biased, you wouldn't have said it's out of context. You would have just posted the text message and said, well, we think Jonathan Majors might have did something because look at the way these you never said that. Mm-hmm. You never said
it's probably
that.
Because of the hashtags, but I mean, it is what it is. I'm not going to sit here and watch this dude get wrongly convicted.
Right.
Not the unseasoned opinion. I'm done. I'm done.
Or the ass itching.
Right. Okay, Dr. Carpy, thank you so very much. Had to show some love for the 416. Keep doing it. Dr. Carpy, thank you so very much. I wanted to get with and I'm gonna do that Monday. I'm gonna get with Dr. Hines too on Monday. We're supposed to be doing, I know the verdict, is at 10, 11. I don't have to work, on Monday. I actually have to get ready to go to work here in I'm going to let this go to about 12 minutes. I got to get ready to go to work. But getting with you guys before the Danny, you're going to be in the court, but getting with the rest of the other YouTubers and getting a big panel together. I know Pam wanted to do that. I fell straight asleep. I didn't try to, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But us getting together, doing this again, getting on a panel, waiting for the verdict to come and actually doing it in real time. So I want to get together with you guys on that.
Just send me the link because when they're out deliberating, we can do whatever we want.
Oh, okay.
Literally just sitting in the courtroom. So if anything, I'll just leave the courtroom and just pop in, give you an update, and go back out. Mm-hmm. They have not. And I hope none of them are watching this because they have not been messing with me as far as my phone the last 2 days. Thank you. So if I can, quick sneak, because that's why I was able to give the live indication of, okay, they went back in, they came back out, they passed the note, they asked this question. That was live because they haven't really been pressing us much about the cell phones if you're not pressed. So I'll try to pop in. If anything, I'm go in the bathroom. I don't know, somewhere, and
I got a question for the panel.
Real quick, Cornelius. I don't know. I don't know if he's on Twitter or not. If he's on Twitter, reach out to him for me. Just say, hey, reach out to Dre. He's trying to do something. So I've been seeing this stuff pop up on this too, and I would love to get him on because I've seen this stuff on YouTube. And the guy is incredible. He's been doing an amazing job. Mm-hmm. So make sure to if you can reach out to him, tell him that I want to speak with him because I don't know him on Twitter. If you can, or anybody that's in the chat that know him, and we'll link up. I'd love to do something with him also. So go ahead.
No, I wanted to ask. I'm sorry. I had wanted to ask the question of the lack of black media. Getting behind this case. Or now I'm seeing black media show up at the wrong time, in my eyes, with the wrong information.
I've said that too.
It's so upsetting. You and if they do show up, it's all for a sound bite of something funny
or a cracking joke. Right.
Correct.
Exactly. Spoiler Kids, thank you so very much. Make sure you like and share, subscribe to their channel. They do a lot of great movie reviews, television reviews, all of that. They've been doing a great job. They've been speaking on this, on their channel. So I appreciate the $5 super chat. Great information today, guys. Really love seeing all of you and great conversation we were having. We did come together like Voltron. You know what I'm saying? So just for doing that, you know, I got to bust a rally out.
I done came up, got my name up. So when they speak of who blinged up, I'm who they bring up.
It's funny. I love it. The reason why I love that clip because he get punched right after that, and the chain ain't even real. So, but thank you guys for that super chat. We have a $20 super chat for Via Reality. Appreciate the $20 super chat, Justin. Justice for Jonathan Majors. Check. Thank you so very much. You know what? Let's do this one.
Now you're looking at the world's richest man, and I'm black.
So I got to give you some more clips, but thank you so very much for the $20 super chat. Let me ask all of you guys. Let me ask everybody that's on the panel. What are we looking at Monday? And your honest, your gut feeling with all the information out, with everything that's been deliberated, everything we've seen in court, the flip-flopping, the cops snitching on each other, which I still think that's the greatest thing that I've seen all week is cops snitching on each other. That is hilarious. What do you guys think as far as the verdict? Do are we looking at not guilty? Are we looking at a mistrial? We're looking at guilty, and you know, what are we looking at?
I said on my stream that depending, because I remember a couple of streams ago I had talked about the jury makeup and what to look for in the jury makeup. I think, and I know me and Kat had talked about it on the other one, I think that harassment charge is going to trip everybody up because it's so loose and it's so it just encompasses it almost encompasses too much to be like a valid type of, and I don't know if valid is the right word. It's too loose. And they give me, from what you have described, Danny, about they give me split the baby kind of jury.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Cut the baby in half. I can't have the whole baby, so let's cut him in half.
Right.
And I personally feel like that harassment is probably going to get, let's just say they decide, God forbid, to convict him on some and not all. I think those two harassments are going to be thrown out.
Yeah.
Just by virtue of the description, and it's not matching what the video shows.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to pull it before the exact description of what the harassment meant.
From the NYPD, I mean from Manhattan or from
from what the judge said out of his own mouth.
Okay.
He omitted some parts of what that harassment covers.
That's going to be a huge appellate issue.
Yeah, he admitted like a whole sentence in that.
And it's not because Jonathan Majors it was something that mentions or following.
Right.
And it's not because Jonathan Majors was following, but it's because you can react without it being harassment to someone else engaging in such criminal mischief.
Right. And
so if they put it in the head that Jabari was doing it, it would go towards Jonathan Majors' innocence. And to me, that's an appellate issue. And luckily, Jonathan Majors has the money and resources, and hopefully at this time, still the willpower if he needs to fight through an appeal.
Look, I'll help him. I'll be the paralegal. I'll do all the work. So the key word is intent. So I think that if they convict him on anything, like I said, God forbid, those harassments would get thrown out. It has to be intent beyond a reasonable doubt. That's the key. To harass, annoy, or alarm another person by striking, shoving, kicking, or otherwise subjecting the other person to physical contact, or attempts to, or threats to do the same. He didn't do any of that.
You don't even see him. It doesn't even go like that.
Right, but that's self-defense. So that means if I defend myself against some wild person coming at me, I can be charged with harassment for pushing them off of me.
Right.
For pushing them back to
all
where
it
they
takes is
came
one
from.
person on that jury to not want to be Jonathan Majors in that situation. All it takes is one person, and they have to be vocal about it.
I think it would be the older Hispanic guy because he's lived, and I did see him nodding a lot as well to different things. Even the instructions. So the other guys, they're too young. I don't even think they're 30 years old yet. and they don't look like ladies' men. So I don't even know if they're even in a position to where they're even experiencing that in their life right
They're
now.
probably
That
blank
make a lot.
slates. So if someone on the jury says something, they could absorb it like a blank slate. It just takes someone to explain the reasoning out loud for that idea to pop in the head. Just like we all talk about these text messages together. First gut instinct, oh, that does look bad. But then you hear someone be like, well, and then you hear the next person say, well, you know,
and
saying
I've
things out
had
loud.
that happen before, right? And it didn't seem, you know what I mean? It literally, you have to have lived to understand what, you know, the context of a lot of this stuff. And I think that's what's missing. We have two main jurors that have lived, and that's the black lady and the guy next to her that held us up yesterday.
Who was the
They're
foreman?
easily knocking on 50.
It's a nurse. A nurse
She's,
from Puerto Rico.
Yeah, she's Hispanic, but she gives me that rule follower vibe, not in the legal sense, but just life. Like, you can't leave before 4:30. If you leave at 4:29, she's gonna go tell the supervisor. Like that kind of rule follower. Yeah, like she has this real bounce and pep to her step.
But she might read those in jury instructions and be like, we have to meet element 2 here, and I don't know if we meet element 2 here.
Too. So she might help in that regard. Not necessarily that she likes Jonathan Majors or thinks he's not guilty, but she'll be that stickler for
the rules.
He said this, he said intent, and it doesn't appear that it was intentional. You know, that kind of thing. So
And
she had a relative that's a cop. They said like her cousin's a cop too.
Something like that.
Oh,
and
boy.
plus,
I don't know if that helps. I don't know if that helps though.
if she's a nurse,
Not the way, yeah, I was about to say, not the way these cops are snitching. I wouldn't.
plus if she's a nurse, she is going to recognize the difference between a spiral fracture and a and she's also gonna notice the anatomy of bruising too.
Right,
so,
and it's common sense. Anybody who's been hurt knows that the main area that gets hurt, usually the surrounding areas get hurt as well.
Exactly.
Heard the way you said it did. That's just common sense. I didn't answer the question. I know y'all got to get ready to go. Emotionally, I feel like it will be not guilty. Intellectually, I feel like it will be a hung jury just by how I feel about the jury and how I've been seeing them. And in a mistrial. And that's just as good as a not guilty for me, because I feel like they will not be able to find another jury in the state of New York that will be impartial, so they will not try it. And mainly thanks to us, because we put so much out there.
We don't get any views, thankfully.
I know. Not none.
You know, when it's literally the people that are following us that will probably get picked for jury duty. It wouldn't be us. Because the minute they find out what we do, who we are, when they ask, they'll be like, oh no, they're going to be a problem on the jury. So yeah, intellectually, mistrial because of the hung jury. Emotionally, not guilty.
I think not guilty. And I think the same way we just spent like 15 minutes talking about like a sped up version of deliberations, they've got to go through one person on that panel is going to be like, you know, what about the bruises? Just like Pam was. One person's going to be like, what are the cops doing? Another person's going to be like, but she was crying real tears. And another person will be like, yeah, she cried tears when she had to watch a body cam video too. It doesn't make you crying about anything that happened. And that conversation is just going to bounce back and forth. So I don't think it should be alarming if they go to lunch on Monday and we don't have a verdict back, because people to talk. They're probably happy to get this off their chest and talk. They're going to chat. They're New Yorkers.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't be alarming, and I think it's actually better the longer they take, because the news reporters would not be happy if they came out with a not guilty verdict in an hour.
Mm-hmm. It won't happen before lunch. And fun fact, we can't use the bathroom on the floor that the courtroom is on, so we have to go down or up, and I usually go down to the next floor below us, and that's where they sit during lunch. There's a bunch of benches in that hallway. And I have to be careful because sometimes I'm running off at the mouth when I get off the elevator.
Well, is there lunch free during deliberations? Is there lunch provided during deliberations?
I guess.
I think it is. Usually it is. They usually treat the lunch. They're going to stay for lunch.
They're going to stay and get that lunch.
Absolutely.
Lunch real quick.
They better treat if they paying somebody $200 an hour.
$200 an hour, paying for 3 people, flights, hotels, and per diem meals from London for a week. You know, but they were worrying about how much the defense paid for their expert. You spent 3 times as much thus far.
Exactly. Shout out to Simon N. Thank you so very much for the super chat. $10 super chat. Keep it up. This needs to get more traction, like the lady with the gross reflective language said. Yeah, and it's funny because she's saying this, and Chillmonger blew up. Cat blew up. Yeah, I'm looking at you guys' views like, damn, if you're not getting information, something's wrong. Pam's blowing up. You know what I'm saying? Myself blowing up because we're giving information, Blue, all of that. We're giving you information that your mainstream media is not giving you. Some even, we was mentioning the, if you're looking for Black publications, they're not going to give you that. You know what I'm saying? Because them was following the same motive as the mainstream media. Give you all the headlines.
A lot of mainstream media.
Yeah, a lot of them is. You know what I mean? And it's funny to make fun of him running and all of that, but not asking the question, why is he running? You know what I mean? So we, like I said, we're here. I didn't do this for clicks. I've been talking about Jonathan Majors for a minute since this first happened. And I remember the first video that I did was, this is a cautionary tale. When you're a celebrity and you're rich, you got to be careful who you deal with within your circle. Your tribe has to be small.
Ain't that what he said though? That's exactly what he said.
He pointed that out.
But I think you have to take an extra step, and everybody got to sign an NDA, including his boo piece. Everybody.
Yeah, you got to pull a Beyonce.
Exactly.
Everybody got to pull a Beyonce.
NDA at this point because it's too much. It's like, I don't need you leaking my text messages. I don't need you recording me when we're having a conversation about how trash you're acting. Like, I can't, we can't have that. So I'm gonna have to garnish your little Walmart paycheck if you say something. You know what I mean?
And I think that's why he got with Megan, because Megan is in the industry. She knows. She's been in the industry since she was a kid. So she already knows how this thing goes. And she's been unproblematic throughout her entire
life.
Or 42
her
years.
divorce was pretty private, right? I didn't hear.
I mean,
so there's a sign right there.
Even Devon Franklin, because I watched a video. He was at the Potter's house. Very good, very, very, very powerful thing that he did. But very well spoken. He did, he was talking about marriage, he was preaching and stuff. And even he said how hard it was, but how private we kept it, because I still wanted to be cool. I didn't want it to be all messy. We just didn't fit, and that's okay.
No, that's a grown man. He's in
grown.
his mid-40s.
Right. So yeah. Kat, did you go? What did you think?
I think not guilty, and I think it's not alarming if they take time to talk, because they're probably excited to gossip with each other, get it all right, bounce off each other, just like we've been doing for how many days have we been joining? Look how long we can go when we join all these live
now.
so,
2 full weeks.
Yes.
And we're not tasked with following the letter of the jury instructions or anything like that. So it's not a big deal to me if the combined 2 hours and 15 minutes they've had to deliberate, maybe. Including
I gave them 3 hours just for extra fluff, but definitely hasn't been 3 hours, right?
Yeah, it's nothing really.
Not
Robin, for a high profile case,
right?
He is Robin. Yesterday, because there's a fan club. That's kind of where I came from. I joined it. They ended up making me one of the moderators. So I've been, I'm a content person. My first degree is in marketing as a MBA. So, I'm all about
Danny. Hold up. Let's stop. Danny's incredible. This stop right there. Danny is incredible. Let's put that out there. This sister got her thing going on. Y'all got to give her some love in the chat. You know what I'm saying? We gonna have to take up a collect. We gonna have to pass around a collector plate. we gonna have to have altar call. We're gonna have to get people down here. We're gonna have to get the collection going.
I've been offering, right? I don't take 10%. I'll do 5.
We gotta bring her. So we gotta do something special for her for the holidays, because I'm telling y'all, she's doing incredible things. And I'm gonna talk to you, Danny, after we get off of here, just private. But she's doing amazing things. So I just wanted to say that before. I didn't mean to cut you off, but damn, Danny, you got it going on. She's a great, she's a great woman, a great woman.
Thank you. Y'all making me blush. But I just said that to say I have a marketing background, my first, master's degree. So all that being said, they made me one of the moderators on the fan club because I like to market. I want, to make it nice. And so his family's on it, and they're not active on it, but you can see where they might like things. And since I've been in the courtroom, they've made little comments. Oh, we like this, we like that. And one of the things that we do, because, when he's not on the red carpet or in court, he wears a red beanie a lot. And it was something that he also told GQ was one of his favorite things. He calls it a be seen beanie. So, I kind of told, the fan club, I'm like, wear your beanies, to show your support. And, I wore mine a couple of days in the court. And the first thing his mother said to me when she saw me, she was like, oh, my God, you're wearing your red. And I wore that 2 days in because red is his favorite color as well. And so I wore it 2 days in a row till my hair got greasy. And so I wore my hair yesterday. And he was walking in the courtroom and he looked at me. He said, where's your hat? And I said, my hair. It was funny because was it you, Kat, that DM'd me the blurb where somebody said he put his red hat on?
Yeah, and what did he say? He said, "Oh, you gonna beat this charge" or something like that.
Yeah, so apparently he brought his hat with him yesterday. I didn't know, and I think that
sounds like it was the doorway out of the court, like the building itself, not the courtroom, but outside to go
out of the building and put his red hat on. So I think that was his little way.
I wish you were there to see that. Now knowing that,
I had to go because I had to catch a flight, and the flight I was catching is a little further out because I play around with the airports depending on traffic patterns. And so I had to go out to Westchester County, and I was like, I gotta go. And so I left like right after.
Yeah, because if he never wore that red beanie yet before, but it was that day after he knew his family. Come on, that's cute.
And it was Friday because he asked me on Friday as soon as he got to court at 2:15.
He was like, "Oh no!"
He was like, "Where's your hat?" And I was like, "My hair." So I'm gonna make sure I wear it Monday because obviously, that's something that he took. He liked that he saw.
I love little details like that. I really do.
No,
they are watching. Megan's family. They say, they tell us the different channels that they're watching, and they see you. They see what's going on.
That's amazing.
These streams in the fan club, and I will share this one. So everybody knows what's going on. They know what's going on, guys. And they're appreciating the love.
That's awesome. Thank you, Doctor. I think it's Lalani for the $5 super sticker. I appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Fan club in the chat real quick.
And someone said, and we're gonna wrap this up here in a second. My brother actually, not someone. My brother was actually been like, he feels because of how much all of us YouTubers, Kat, Chill, Blue, me, Pam. And other YouTubers that's covering this is really genuine. Like, it's out of my heart. I could have just shut up and just be like, I wait till everything goes on. And then but I chose not to because it's just too many times that we've seen if it was Giant the Major was just, an extra on here. You know what I'm saying? And not the main lead. What did he do? I'll have that same energy because we're tired of seeing, people going to jail for nothing. You know what I'm saying? And getting railroaded and all that stuff. So he said
lives getting destroyed.
Yeah. And my brother said, these guys are saying if Megan is seeing you, Megan Cunniff, Velma from Scooby, right. If she's seeing you, his family sees you. Exactly. The other people, there's people watching you. And not in the way like, oh, snap. You know what I'm saying? They go get me, but they're watching us. And they know that this is now the new source of getting information, being on top of everything, pushing out that, pushing out because their jobs is on the line. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys who has done amazing work. I just want to say thank you guys. Thank you for being on my streams. Thank you guys for everything that you have done with the Giant the Major's case, and just with everything going forward. I just appreciate you guys. I just wanted to say that out of my heart.
It's likewise, because like I said, thanks for all the, support and compliments. Cause like I said, I'm not here for that, but I appreciate it.
And all the voices in comments, in chat, and like live chats like this on X, especially, even sometimes when I catch a little blip on Facebook, the comments are out there. I'm finally starting to see like, why is this even a trial anymore? Why is this case even still going?
Because now and again, I kind of wish that I know why TMZ didn't do it, but I'm telling you, TMZ sat on this for a minute. If TMZ would have posted the chasing, you know what I mean, earlier, this would have been niched, and we wouldn't have to go through this. But it is what it is, and we're here now. And my personal opinion, like I told the senior reporter from the Daily Beast, He's innocent. I believe we're going to come back innocent. There's just no way in the world for a common person to look at this and be like, you know what? I think he's guilty. You know what I mean? He pushed off like a wide receiver on the defensive back, but hey, he had to go. He had to get up out of there. You know what I'm saying?
Route.
You know
or
what I
on
mean?
precedent. We don't want to set the precedent that it's okay to grab someone's phone and start hitting on them because you think you're entitled to it.
Thank you.
You can get away with it.
You can get away with it.
Yeah, because that'll escalate to other things. And then because this situation could have really turned sour with that. You know what I'm saying?
Especially the way the NYPD was acting and the way that they moved. And I've always said this, you know, I thank the Most High, because if he would have went up in there and this woman is doing all this, whatever she was doing, and they would have turned around and fatally did something to him, you know what I mean? Because of the height of everything that's going on, you know, because we've seen this happen. It's not like that I'm just making this up or whatever. And when everybody's talking about why is he playing a race car, look, if that woman would have came in there and they would have looked at him sideways, and he would have moved suddenly, and they would have been freeze and shot and asked later.
Chokehold, anything,
anything,
or even her, like Pam pointed out, her almost getting hit by that car. That could have
You're clearly not intent to cause alarm. You did not.
Shout out to the driver, because this break game was fierce. I was like, I probably ran her right over at 2:00 in the morning, at 12:40 in the morning. Ties it up.
This is another night in New York.
She's running so fast, and she's not paying attention to nothing. I was scared. I was like, girl, you're about to get hit. Because just if he did not slow down, because obviously he saw them running. If that car had not slowed down, she'd have been hit.
She sounds kind of reckless to me.
Say it again, Kat.
She sounds kind of reckless to me.
Very reckless. Very reckless.
Harassment to me.
Exactly. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. Kat, tell everybody on the panel, besides me, because you already know where I'm at, but tell everybody on the panel, started with Kat, where can they find you at?
Just search Kat Jonathan Majors on YouTube, and then if you go to Twitter, probably Kat Jonathan Majors. It'll come right up. So 2 T's.
Miss Danny.
I'm just on Twitter. Danny Does Law. I have a YouTube account, but I don't use it for anything. I literally just created a playlist of all these type of interactions, but it's under Danny Does This on YouTube, but I'm not doing anything on YouTube.
And she's under Danny Does Law on Facebook.
Danny Does Law on Twitter. Yeah.
On Twitter. Yeah. It's Danny Does Law in Policy, in Practice on Facebook. That's your page. Yeah.
But I have links to the Facebook page within some of my tweets, because that's where I posted all my dissertations for what happened each day. So it should take you there. But
absolutely. Pam Entertainment Television. Tell them where they can find you at.
All platforms, Pam Entertainment TV, people. Pam Entertainment TV.
And don't forget to tell your friend, to tell your cousin, tell that heifer that you don't like.
I'm over here making these videos. I'm trying to tell y'all.
My man Bluminati, where can they find you at outside of the Blurred AF on Mondays at 7 Central Time, 8:00 Eastern?
That's right. Just at Blues House. You could do the Blues House or Blues House 1 to show up.
And if you don't know how to spell blue, is BLUS house. And if you can't spell that, don't come to that man's channel. No. And of course, if this is your first time coming to the Dre Mac Show, you already know where I'm at, right here on YouTube. If you want to follow me, best place to get in contact with me is on Instagram at The Real Dre Mac. And you can also follow me on Twitter at The Dre Mac Show. I appreciate you guys that's been in the comments, all the super chats, all of that. We're going to get a donation together for Danny. That's what I plan on doing. I want to get some stuff together for Danny, because she's been doing an amazing job, and I appreciate everything that she's done. So when we pass around the collection plate, make sure you donate. All right. So thank you guys so very much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. You already know I got to get up out of here and let the forehead breathe. Peace and bye-bye, y'all. Everybody on the panel, just stay here. Let's get up out of here. Where is the outro at? Let's get up out of here. Wait a minute. You're telling me the video's over? What? Huh. Okay, I guess so. If you have came to this portion of the video, thank you so very much for sticking to the end. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that little bell notification so you never miss one of my videos. And if you really want to, you don't got to, go ahead and follow the social media links that's down below. Until next time, I'll holler at you guys later. Peace and Bob Hire, y'all. Y'all take care of yourself.